Hey guys, and welcome back. We're going to be playing the game Mushroom Oasis today. I'm sorry that my voice is so tired. It's currently 12:32 a.m. So I just felt like producing a early video for you guys, and I'm going to be reading this aloud so you can listen to the video or you can watch it fully for subtitles. Now, let's get started. Now, personally, I'm going to be going with my own choices that I have done in previous spots of just playing this game by myself. If you'd like to see more, please comment below. Charlie has been missing for a while now. She was an outdoor cat, but had the tendency of a wild cat on a mission trying to leave whenever the door was open. Catios and playtime just wasn't enough for the little missus. I figured she'd come running if I let out some food by the porch. 3 days later, still no cat. I've tried everything I could to think of. Asking around the neighborhood, putting up missing cat posters. Sadly, nothing came from my efforts. I could search for her during the day since I had work keeping me occupied. I couldn't search for her during the day because I have work keeping me occupied. And there's only so many hours in the evening I could yell around the streets looking for her. There was only one place left I could think of that she might have run off to. The woods by my house, right across the street. I've definitely caught her eyeing the birds and squirrels that ran alongside the perimeters from the window, her teeth clicking in excitement. I was no outdoorsy person by any means. In fact, the thought of going in there scares me. But I had to find her, or at least try. The first weekend that came around, I packed up some water, Charlie's favorite treats, a compass to be safe. I wasn't sure where to even begin looking for her, so I started walking in a straight line, calling out her name every few steps. It certainly didn't take long for me to realize I was way in over my head. Why I think this was a good idea? It was hard to find my bearings within the surrounding trees. I didn't want to admit I was lost, or at least not yet. I could only squint down at my compass as the needle spun slowly. Pretty sure they weren't meant to do that. Did I really bring a busted compass on my first venture out in these woods? Figured that would be my luck. The only thing risking my own safety was my own incompetence. I shook my head hastily. No time for inactivity. Charlie was out there somewhere, cold, lost, and hungry. I had to keep going. It's been hours. I'm so lost. I don't even know why I keep searching, even after the moment I'd realized that. Why did I think this was a good idea? Like I had been gnawing at my stomach for a while, having missed breakfast and lunch altogether. The heat and humidity from the afternoon sun was unbearable, but the cooling air did nothing to soothe me. Even if I were to head home, I couldn't even pinpoint where that was. What, what do people even do in these situations? I knew this was baseless optimism, but walking onward was really the only thing I could think of to do. Surely, I'll come across something familiar. on, my shoes carefully avoiding tree roots intertwined across the forest floor. But in my weakened state, plus the approaching darkness, I found myself stumbling through the rough terrain. My feet hit something soft jutting out of the ground. Ack! My hand shot out as I lost my balance, my feet clumsily trying to find purchase as I wobbled backwards, arms flapping. Poof. What? My shoe had landed smack dab in a circle of mushrooms, the brunt of it causing a wispy cloud to erupt from the cluster. I stuck my nose in my elbow to avoid breathing it in. I couldn't differentiate one tree leaf from another for the life of me, but I'm pretty sure some humans aren't supposed to inhale whatever the hell this was. It smelled strongly of rotten wood and wet dirt as it cleared. Something shiny quickly caught my attention. I stooped down to pick it up, gasping under my breath. It was Charlie's collar, covered in whatever the hell these mushrooms released. I looked around desperately for any sign of her. Charlie? Charlie! I coughed from inhaling some of the remaining dust floating in the air. I should really steer clear of this. Pocketing Charlie's collar, I retreated carefully until I could breathe again. Stepping back, I could still smell it. It must have stuck to my hair and clothes. A quick once-over confirmed my suspicion with a slight cringe. A thin, yet generous coating of it covered my sleeves and jeans. I leaned against the tree, dusting off my clothes in a naive attempt to get dust and smell out, to no avail. If anything, it felt like I was breathing more of it in. What used to be musty now turned sweet, and I found myself inhaling even deeper, trying to pinpoint the smell. Cucumbers? It smelled like fresh cucumbers. A tingly feeling crept up my hands and neck, pinpricks spreading across my limbs as a strange heat reached my face. I started to feel drunk and woozy. My senses were numb. It should freak me out, and yet a strange comfort washed over me. I should lie down. Right now, in fact. My legs gave out from under me, my body toppling over at an awkward angle. I laid there and stared, and stared, and stared. It was nice here, a peaceful calm, the perfect place for a nap even. My eyes grew heavy as I swam in and out of consciousness. Yeah, a nap sounds really good right now. About now. Oh, lots of critters passing through lately. Sorry this happened to you, little one. It could have been anyone, but it had to be you. Hmm? Wait, a human? How'd you end all the way out here? Still breathing, too. Ah, jeez, I can't leave you here. What should I do? I woke with a jolt. It was warm, but comfortably so. I could feel the weight of a blanket on me as I tried to sit up. I couldn't. I couldn't move my body. My fingers twitched uselessly at my sides as my eyes darted around in panic. Glancing about, I could see the interior of the cabin, or at least the ceiling of one. I couldn't see much past the corner of my eyes. Where was I? How did I get here? A desperate feeling rose in my chest. I had to leave. Right now. This was wrong. I wasn't meant to be here. I could hear the crackling of the fire nearby, likely the source of warmth I had felt on waking up. I could also hear footsteps approaching. I shut my eyes quickly, hoping they hadn't noticed. I, I fluttered my eyelids, straining to look at the person approaching. My eyes widened as I looked in their appearance, the protrusions from their forehead catching my attention. Not to mention the green skin. The stranger didn't sense my unease as they heaved a sigh of relief. You're awake. That's good. Very, very good. How are you feeling? I blinked. Oh, sorry, I forgot about that. Here. The person held cup to my lips, a strong, sweet smell coming from the rim. A gentle hand grabbed my chin to open my mouth. I couldn't even move to resist. Don't worry. It'll help you feel better, I promise. Drink up. As the liquid hit my tongue, all I could feel was a vague sense of heat. As I kept drinking, taste and texture returned. The sweetness of berries and carameline coating my taste buds. I could even detect a hint of mint. I lifted my head finally, hands fisting at my sides as I propped myself onto my elbows. The person kept a steady hand on my chin, careful not to pour in too much in case I choked. I finished every last drop, wiping my mouth with the back of my hand. I stared at my fingers, realizing I had full anatomy over my body again. Good as new. Now, how are you feeling? Better, thank you. The stranger laughed. Oh, I like the way you sound. Been ages since I talked to anyone, much less with a voice as nice as yours. I brushed off their strange compliment, finally looking around the cabin properly. It was a simple room, filled with sparse but decorated wooden furniture, fit for someone living alone. An open archway to the right led to what I assumed was the kitchen. Next to it, a door was closed shut. Possibly the bathroom? Taking it in, there was a common theme of knitting decorations soon about. Any available surface had patterned knitting tablecloths covering it. An unfinished project lays beside the bedside table where I sat, a pair of knitting needles jutting out of a pile of yarn from a small basket. As far as I could tell, it looked like the beginning of a green scarf. The stranger was comfortable and staying silent, observing me as I glanced around. They tossed their hat onto the bed, scruffing their hair and making it even messier. With their hat off, their unique features were impossible to ignore. Sorry, but what are you? Didn't. Huh? Oh, I didn't introduce myself, did I? Hiya, I'm Mychael, with a Y. I shook my head. No, I meant that, Mychael stared at me, their left ear twitching. You look very... He snorted. Ugly? Off-putting? No, just different. Different, huh? You're just being nice. Well, then explain yourself. I mean, that's kind of rude, isn't it? I paused for a moment before pinching my nose bridge, inhaling slowly. I'm just... Sorry, it's been a long day is all. I should be thanking you. If it helps, it's skin condition? Is that what your humans call them? The way they said it didn't sound confident. And the ears? Um, genetics? Right. And I assume the little... I wave vaguely at their horns, antennae? Those things are just cosplay to complete the look? Will that make a convincing argument? I squinted. Maybe. Then yeah, it's cosplay. It still doesn't explain everything. Mychael huffed a nervous laugh. Listen, I'm just a guy looking by himself in the woods. You don't need to worry yourself further than that, okay? Something in his tone compelled you not to question his existence anymore. He's just some guy, living in the woods. Completely normal. Right, completely normal. I'm Louis. Mychael beamed. Nice to meet you, Louis. I fiddled with the blankets as Mychael scooted closer from the edge of the bed. I know I already asked, but how are you feeling? Any aches, sores, nausea, intrusive thoughts, weird impulses? Fever, maybe? I don't. He placed his hand on my forehead before I could react. His hands were callous, quickly retracting as he gave a thoughtful hum. You seem to be lucid. That's a good sign. Great? He hummed absently, his twitching ear reminding me of a perturbed cat. Cat. My cat! Oh, shoot. Sorry if this is out of nowhere, but have you seen a cat around these parts? Her name's Charlie. She's a sweet little thing, about this big, skittish, but she can approach strangers if she needs to. I pulled out my phone to show pictures of her, only to find it missing from my back pocket. Wait, where is it? I haven't... Huh? Your cat. I haven't seen it. Oh, I see. I slumped against the pillows, rubbing at my temples. She lost her collar, too. Even if anyone finds her, they wouldn't be able to tell where she's from. Damn it. Mychael stayed quiet, watching me from his side of the bed. You came all this way, out here for a cat? Huh? Of course. To the point where you're willing to run yourself ragged this deep in the forest? For a cat? Do you realize how far you've wandered away from the nearest town? I found you near unconscious in an area nobody set foot in for years. For a cat. He sounded like he was holding himself back from giving me a stern lecture, as if in disbelief I had such little regard for my own survival. My cheeks grew heated at how stupid, reckless that sounded. I mean, it's not just a cat, she's my family. I know that it was stupid for even trying, but I had to. Mychael eased up, shoulders tense as he looked me over from underneath his unruly bangs. Family, huh? He finally tipped his head at me with a smile. You're willing to wander this far for such a small creature? I've met my fair share of lost campers, hunters, and a few runaway teens or two. But someone looking for their pet? You're kind of weird, aren't you? I sputter, much to his amusement. Speak for yourself. Who cosplays in the middle of the woods? Mychael laughed, a deep, hearty one resonating from his chest. Fair. I think I'm starting to like you, Louie. Likewise? His smile widened, but something about it was off. He was showing too many teeth. I felt like he hadn't talked to someone in a real long time and forgotten how to smile the right amount. I rubbed my neck, trying to think of something else to say. Can I ask, how did I get here? Oh, like I said, I found you in the woods not far from here. Oh, jeez, really? I know I was tired, but I couldn't have possibly... Huh, I did step in something important. Familiar pinpricks crept up my skin. Home. I need to go home. Mychael stiffened as he grabbed my shoulder. Never mind that. You'd fallen unconscious from a little heat stroke. Heat stroke? No, that wasn't what happened. I wasn't. I was fine until... Mychael shook his head insistently, leaning close. No, Firefly. You weren't fine at all. If I hadn't found you when I did, well, who knows what could have happened. You could have gotten injured or attacked by a wild animal. There's danger in these woods. No, it wasn't it. You had been so foolish. How did you think you could do this on your own? Searching for your cat in the middle of the woods. And to go in without bringing any water? Passing out from heat stroke of all things. How could you have been so stupid? I shook my head, brain too foggy to pick apart my thoughts. He sounded confident, so why should you doubt him? Well, if it means anything, I'm glad you were there. Mychael relaxed, hands on his lap once more. He grinned at me. So am I, Louie. I'm definitely glad I found you. His eyes were hidden fully behind his unruly hair, but I couldn't help feeling how intensely they were fixated onto me as he said that. The hairs on the back of my neck stood. Oh, sure. Without a distraction, I've only just realized how uncomfortable I was sitting still. The blanket on me was starting to itch, just as desperate need to get home began to rise in me again. This was interesting, but I really should get going now. Wait. My host jumped up from the bed before I could. I mean, I can't just let you wander out in the woods this late. Please, stay a bit longer. But Mike, come. He grabbed my hand and led me across the room. We stepped into the kitchen, a fragrant smell of cooking potatoes and meat hanging in the air. 2 plates had been set out on the small circular table, complete with utensils and a mug of tea. I wasn't expecting guests today, so the food's nothing fancy, but join me for dinner? He looked so hopeful, managed to drooping. You would feel so bad if you had to say no. I'm gonna say yes. Mychael's jaw dropped for a second before he quickly recovered. Yes, of course. Here, come sit. I'll serve you up the cottage pie in a minute. I sat as instructed, my stomach rumbling. Something fierce as the smell was the only thing I could focus on. Yes, this was definitely the right choice. What was so important that you had to be leaving so soon? The outside world can wait. You can stay here and enjoy my company. Oh, actually, I should ask, are you okay with meat for dinner? I can make something else for you if that's not your preference. I'm gonna say I'm okay with meat. Oh, okay. You'll be having the same dinner as me then. Mychael patted about the small kitchen with almost giddy excitement. He pulled on a pair of knitted oven mitts, humming as he stood down and pulled out a steaming tray of pie from the wood stove. The smell, It filled out the kitchen in instants. He brought it to the table, my stomach rumbling louder in response. I'm pretty sure Mychael could hear it, but he just smiled as he served up our portions. He discreetly cut me a bigger piece, which I was grateful for. It looked so good, which, by the way, if you're watching this visually and you're looking at the drawings and everything, I just want to give a big thanks to the illustrators of this game, because their art is absolutely divine, and it's one of the things that led me to play this game. The crust was a nice golden brown, streaked with crisp lines and garnish. The meat and veggies looked absolutely delectable, the savory sauce leaking onto the plate. My mouth was watering, surprising, considering the fact I hadn't eaten all day. Careful now, it's still hot. It was fair advice, but I didn't wait more than 2 blows before biting into my first forkful. Ah, it was definitely way too hot to eat straight from the oven. Mychael kept a polite expression, the corner of his mouth lifting as I panted with the piece still in my mouth. He gave me a few seconds to recover, elbow planted on the table. Is it good? I nodded vigorously without even though my buds were burning. I couldn't taste anything. He laughed. It's usually way better on the second bite. I slowed down, hands on my mouth as Mychael poked his fork into his own slice. I tentatively blew on the pie, making sure it was cool before taking another bite. He was right. The second bite was a lot better. The seasoned potato crust was nice and crisp on top, cheesy and creamy in the middle. The savory meat filling was well cooked and bursting with flavor. Every bite felt like home. My host watched me enjoy the meal from across the table. Do you like it? Yeah, this tastes amazing, Mychael. He flushed from the compliment, rubbing the back of his neck. Huh, I'm glad. I like this, to think of myself as a decent cook, but I've never been able to get anyone else's opinion on that. Do you like baking in particular? Not always. I usually go for simple dishes with any ingredients available. I nodded amicably, though didn't say much else. I was more focused on scarfing down dinner, which thankfully Mychael didn't seem to mind. The overall atmosphere was nice and homely. I could hear Mychael tapping his foot from under the table. I guess he was that happy to have someone stay for dinner. It had seemed like he lived alone, judging from the surroundings in his cabin. So, I'm kinda curious. He perked up instantly, his focus solely on me. What made you want to live all the way out here? Oh, well, when you look like me, it's easier to just live out of sight from everyone else. A pang of guilt shot through my chest. I was giving him a hard time about how he looked, too. He must have sensed it clear as day on my face. No, not that you're one of them. You're actually been nicer than most. Though I wonder if... His smile turned strained. Never mind. My point is, it's better here than anywhere else. Why didn't you try the tea, Firefly? He seemed uncomfortable now, easing into a different topic. It's probably best to follow along. Oh, sure. I reached out towards my mug, only to push it off the edge with my clumsy fingers. Wait! I bent over aside to grab it, fully expecting it to fall just out of reach and land on the floor into broken pieces. It never did. Instead, a long green appendage was twisted around the ceramic mug, securely keeping it in place. Not even a drop had fallen out. My eyes traveled along the length of it until I pinpointed where it was coming from behind, where that it was coming from behind Mychael. The rest of it partially hidden beneath his cardigan. Mychael, is that yours? I. Mychael buried his face in his hands, the straight appendage from before now lowering to his side, mug and toe. I'm sorry, Louis. I think it's time I was honest. He lifted his head, fingers consorting his hair back to reveal his eyes. I froze as multiple pairs of irises stared right into mine, before darting to the side and avoiding my gaze. I know it's a lot to take in, but this is who I really am. Please, please, don't be scared. I think I'm gonna remain calm. I swallowed audibly, willing myself to not look away. He seemed to be holding his breath as I gripped the edge of the table. It felt unsettling every time he blinked those eyes in unison, even when he wasn't looking at me. Was it real? It had to be. Everything about him suddenly made made so much more sense. The isolation, the avoidant behavior. He looked freaky, yes, but he also looked sad. I I swallowed thickly. I'm not scared. Mychael's many pupils blew wide, dilating like an excited wildcat. It sent a shiver up my spine. Okay, maybe just a little bit scared. Sorry. He hastily grabbed an empty plate and hid behind it, shoulders scrunching up despite his stature. Would it help if I just hide it? I could fix my hair like before, if that's what you prefer. His voice was muffled behind the ceramic barrier between us. It was kind of endearing. I slowly reached out, touched his hand, then slight brush of my fingertips make him jump in place. Mychael? Yeah? Can you put that down? He slowly lowered the plate, his eyes still darted to the side, avoiding me. Can you look at me? Don't look at me like that. So sorry, I just can't stop looking. This was so awkward. His hands were shaking. I looked down as the mug still floated next to him, hanging on for dear life. I reached over and plucked it straight out of his grasp. I tentatively took a sip, noting how Mychael was watching me over the rim of the mug. The taste was mildly spicy, almost with an almost earthy bite to it. I recognized it instantly as ginger tea. It's almost room temperature, but it's still pretty good. Huh? You wanted me to try the tea, right? I like it, so thank you. Oh, I'm glad. Mako relaxed back in his seat, following my lead as I picked up my fork once more. The silence didn't last long as Michael fidgeted. Are you really okay with this? With me? I gave him a once over, really taking in his features. It's very different than what I'm used to, but I think I can learn to like it. Is that weird to say? I mean, you're not bad to look at. It's actually kind of, damn it, what do I say? Hot? You're not referring to the temperature, are you? No, I'm not. Oh. He looked confused, but seemed embarrassed anyways. My point is, your appearance shouldn't matter. You've been nothing but kind to me so far. I'd be the worst kind of person to judge someone based on how they looked. I haven't known you for that long, but you seem like a good person. You're fine, Mychael. I smiled at him. We're fine. I, I see. He fidgeted some more before nodding, smiling a bit. Thanks, Louis. I'll cherish this moment forever. He beamed at me as he enthusiastically went back to eating his food. That was something. We continued with a bit of small talk, mostly stories about Charlie or snippets from my personal life. Mychael hung on to every word I said, not bothering to elaborate much on himself, despite my burning curiosity. I could tell he was extremely insecure about his appearance, so it's probably best I keep my questions to myself for tonight. We cleaned up the kitchen in relative silence, Mychael store, stored, storing away the rest of the pie as I washed the dishes by the sink. Being out there in this remote cabin, I wonder how he had running water. Maybe I'll ask him later. So, thanks for dinner. Thanks for the company. Oh, and please take the bed tonight. But, you're my guest. I'm the host. Take the bed, okay? Uh, alright. I'll be out of your hair first thing in the morning. Mychael got quiet, staring at the floorboards. With his hair out of the way, I could finally read his expressions. He seemed upset? Is that okay? I do need your help, though. I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna get lost again on my own. His tail floated behind him. Yeah, I'll bring you home tomorrow morning. I heaved a sigh of relief. Thanks, Mychael. I'll see you in the morning. Yeah. Good night, Louie. Good night, Mychael. He seemed really happy being able to say that. I plopped myself down onto Mychael's bed, getting comfy beneath the blanket. Mychael was gathering some blankets of his own to make a makeshift bed on the floor in front of the fire. He had an impressive collection of knitted items, a comfortable nest forming in the center of the room. His eyes trailed after his tail, now out in the open as it flicked and swayed. Kinda like a cat. I missed Charlie. Now, with a full stomach, dozing off some came easy. I didn't even realize how tired I was. I listened to the gentle crackling of the fire, my vision darkening. Sorry guys, I've been running on a cold, so allergies are getting bad too, so I apologize for all the sniffling and sneezing. Good night, Louie. Question mark? A soft humming invaded my dreams, stirring me awake. I blinked my eyes open to the unfamiliar surroundings, swallowed in a blanket that clearly wasn't mine. Where? Oh. I spotted the familiar figure of my host seated on a stool in front of the fire, hands deftly working on a green scarf bundled in his lap. His back was towards me, but I caught a glimpse of his fingers as the needle softly clicked between the yarn. He looked incredibly in depth, at using them. The rhythmic movements almost hypnotic as the fibers wound together into an intricate pattern. I slowly started into a sitting position, rubbing at my eyes. The movement quickly caught his attention, ears looking in my direction before his eyes trained onto me. Just like last night, his pupils blew up as we made eye contact. His expression lit up the instant he saw me. Louie, hey, I'm glad you're finally awake. You look so tired. I didn't want to disturb you until you got enough rest. Good morning, Michael. Good morning, Louie. Did you sleep well? I was too groggy to answer his question. I yawned, slipping out as I stretched. He smiled kindly, a soft chuckle underneath his breath. Like a baby, then. He pointed over his shoulder to the door beside the fireplace, tilting his head towards it. You can freshen up in the bathroom if you'd like, while I start making us some food. I'd had eaten breakfast by now, but I wanted you to join me while the food is still hot. How do eggs and toast sound? Sounds delicious. Great. I'll see you in the kitchen then. He tucked away his knitting materials and set it aside. Oh, I also have a surprise for you after breakfast. It's not the most exciting surprise, but just join me when you're ready. He ducked into the kitchen without another glance. I could hear his boots thud against the floorboards, cabinets opening and closing in succession in the kitchen. I was supposed to say unison. I suppose that's my cue. I rolled out of bed, leaving the warmth of Michael's blankets and trotting over to the door Michael pointed out. Stepping aside, I didn't know what I was expecting when he said he had a bathroom, but it was surprisingly spacious. Everything looked like it was carved and polished out of wood. He seemed to have everything you'd find in a modern bathroom. A sink, a cabinet, a shower and tub, even a toilet. Curious, I crept over to the toilet in particular, inspecting it. There wasn't a tank like you'd expect where the water would be stored. Instead, there was a compartment to the side full of sawdust and a scoop. I expected it to have at least a little bit of smell, but it was surprisingly odorless. There was even a roll of toilet paper on the side. It was no flushing system, but it was hygienic. Michael must have done his research. Walking over to the sink, I stared at the faucet before hesitantly twisting it. I jumped when I heard the rush of water pouring in, swirling in the basin before disappearing into who knows where. Wow. Why am I impressed by a damn functioning bathroom sink? I helped with the dishes last night. I already knew Michael had plumbing. Shaking my head, I finished freshening up and headed to the kitchen. Michael looked up as I entered, a steamed kettle in his hand with 2 empty mugs on the counter. It might have been the lighting, but he was taller than I remembered. Glancing to the table, I could see he already finished plating up our food. Oh wow, you work fast. Michael looked proud of himself. Couldn't have my guests stay on an empty stomach. Go on, have a seat. I'll join you in a moment. I turned. He. I returned his smile and sat down, stomach grumbling as I looked at our plates. Once again, Michael was generous with the serving sizes. Fat slices of enough bread were toasted perfectly with crisp, buttery sides. Bright red tomato slices and a crisp salad peeking underneath the fluffy eggs. It looked amazing, amazingly tantalizing. The smell of savory herbs wafting into my nose. My mouth watered. Mychael sat down a steaming mug beside me before settling into his own seat. Peeking above the rim, I could see small flowers floating about, tinting the water yellow. It faintly smelled of apples. I recognized the yellow, dried petals as teeth packaging I'd seen before. Oh, Caroline? He smiled. That's the one word I don't know if I'm pronouncing right. I did forgot to do my research before I started recording this. I hope you like it. I'm sure I will. His smile widened, his tail swaying at the tip by his feet. He seemed more relaxed, knowing relaxed, showing his natural features this morning. Any trace of panic and hesitation from last night were gone, replaced by a look of contentment. Mychael bit into his toast, and I followed suit. The food was delicious as I expected. The chunk of toast I bit into was heavenly, the butter sweet on my tongue. The tomato and salad provided a nice crisp balance, and the eggs, something about simple home-cooked food is just the best. Mychael was happy to eat in silence, occasionally looking up at me as I enjoyed my food. He'd smile when our eyes met, his bottom pair narrowing to a happy squint. I wonder if he'd be open to some questions. Hey. Do you mind if I ask, how'd you learn to cook? Cottage pie is a pretty complicated recipe. I just wonder if anyone taught you how to cook. I'd be lucky if someone could teach me how to make boiled eggs, Firefly. But it was trial and error mostly. My earlier endeavors were, pretty much inedible. I'd picked up on a thing or two about cooking, though, so your taste buds aren't gonna fall victim to any nasty creations like in my earlier days, at least. Speaking of, did you enjoy dinner last night? Of course I did. You're a really good cook, Mychael. I'm glad. It probably wasn't obvious, but I'm really happy I got to cook for you. I don't get guests often, in case you couldn't tell. I should ask you to cook for me every day then. He grinned at my joke, looking pleased. I'd be happy to. I chuckled as I took another bite. So, what's your favorite thing to cook? He lit up at the question. Fried mushrooms. Fried mushrooms? Yeah. There's plenty to find. It's easy to make. Huh. I do remember finding a patch of mushrooms yesterday. They smelled pretty funky, though. You remember that? What was that? Nothing. Anyways, mushrooms were the only thing I had for a while before figuring out I could eat other stuff like roots and veggies. Do you forage all your ingredients? Mostly. The times I figured out how to catch fish and hunt game were the best of my life. I'll tell you that. My first taste of meat? He did an awkward version of a French kiss, as if mimicking something he saw on television once. Mamma midi. Was he trying to say Mamma Mia? He continued before I could even dwell on it for a second longer. But nothing beats what you humans are able to make. You guys go nuts with ingredients. Rice was a challenge. It's a precious ingredient since I have to actually get some from the store. But once I figured out how to make it nice and fluffy, I considered it a special treat. I did a double take. You go to the store? Yeah? Where else would I get it? I thought you would grow it yourself or something. He laughed as I flushed in embarrassment. It's flattering you think I'm capable of something that impressive, but no. There's only so much the forest can provide. But what about money? We're talking about human currency, right? Otherwise, how would you even... Do you actually have a job? A thought occurred to me. Or did you steal it? He almost looked offended. Do you take me for a criminal? No, but that would mean... Then how? Mychael bit into his toast, 2 eyes waking in mischief. I have my ways, Firefly. What's that supposed to mean? What's it like living in the woods? I still can't believe how cozy you managed to make it, considering the whole middle of nowhere thing. It wasn't like this when I found it. No. It was a major, fixer-upper, so the cabin was abandoned. I never would have guessed. Yeah, I'm really happy I get to live somewhere permanent for once. It's not much, but it's home. What's it like? Peaceful, quiet. I do like it a lot. The forest provides me with everything I need. And nobody bothers me for the way I look out here. His ears twitched slightly. Sometimes you just happen to end up where it's most convenient for you and everyone else. The way he avoided my eyes as he said that gave the impression that there's something more to it. Looked like his home wasn't just a convenience, but a fear of something else. Rejection, perhaps, or something worse. Anyways, I don't really have anything else to say about it, unless there's something specific you want to ask. He doesn't think about his answer much before beaming at me. What about you? I know you've told me a little bit about yourself, but what's it like being you? I scoffed, waving my hand. Please, I'm the least interesting person in this room, trust me. His eyes were shining in earnest as he leaned forward. Tell me anyway. Oh, well, I told him about my life, at least the parts I was comfortable sharing. Just like last night, his eyes didn't leave my face, occasionally darting about my features and interest. The direct ogling was making me nervous, but I suppose I was doing the exact same thing when it was his turn to talk. Eventually, I came to the topic of my job, the who's of living in modern capitalism. I am a bit jealous. You have the whole cottagecore aesthetic practically perfect. His face morphed in a confused pout. Cottagecore? I explained it to him in my own words. Oh, you're saying you wanna live the way I do? Out in the woods? I nodded without hesitation. I mean, I wouldn't mind showing you the ropes. His tone seemed strangely wilted. What do you mean? Never mind. Anyways, I don't get what the appeal is, but it's not easy either, you know? The forest provides, but it's up to me to make use of it. Starting out was a dark look crossed over his face, then as if revealing a bitter memory. Rough. But I'm glad I'm built for survival. I feel like asking him to elaborate would make things awkward. I decided to veer the topic into a different direction. Doesn't it get lonely? Sometimes, but I'm used to it. He smiled, his eyes lighting up. But besides, I have you at the moment, don't I? I never thought I enjoyed having someone around. You must be really special. How do you have plumbing in your house? I know it's a silly question, but I can't stop thinking about it. Oh, you were wondering about that? That embarrassed look on my face was probably enough of an answer. Aw, well, it's nothing fascinating. It's just rainwater I got stored above the cabin. Just rainwater? I nodded. I detected a hint of pride as he continued. It's actually a recent installment, believe it or not. Granted, the project took a while, gathering materials, figuring out the tools, finding the right instruction manuals. Plus, I had to figure out where to store the water tank. And don't worry, I installed a filtration system so it's safe for us to use. I checked it every few weeks to make sure nothing's contaminated. That sounded daunting, especially considering he lived out all the way here in the woods. How did all that, how'd you do all that on your own? I kinda had to. Anyways, it took a lot of calculating and adjusting, but it really worked out. And now that I think about it, I'm glad you get to be comfortable here during your stay too. Does that answer your question? Yeah, I'm starting to know a lot more about Mychael. I do. He didn't directly say it, but it felt like he was a loner. Let me restart that. He didn't directly say it, but it felt like he was lonelier than he was letting on. Anyways, not to mention how he managed to make a home for himself all on his own. Had to wonder if he had anyone at all. Do you even have family around? Family? His expression turned solemn for a moment before he looked sheepish. Remind me how that works again? I get the concept based on some books I've read. I don't know what I don't have what you call parents, if that's what you're asking. My mouth dropped open in shock. No parents? He shrugged and took another bite of toast. Not that I recall. Yeah, but what's that like, living with so many people like you in such close proximity? Huh? That's how it works, right? You and other humans live in one house. And you have this, DNA thing that makes you relate to the rest. That's what makes you family, right? Was he talking about DNA? His definition threw me off, but I had to answer somehow. Not just that. Family is people that you love and care about, who love and care about you too. He seemed intrigued. Is that so? That does sound nice. Is there anyone that you love and care about? Yeah, all of my friends. Your friends can be considered family too? Yeah, I don't see why we have to be related to be family. Even considering my cat family. Oh, and this is the same for all families? I bit my lip, pondering the question. It would be naive to think that. A lot of families do love and take care of one another, but Not everything's perfect. Sometimes that love can be misplaced or taken advantage of or even abused. Michael looked thoughtful. So it starts with love? I've read some stories about that. Love, I mean. Though certain feelings just don't make sense to me. At least from a reader's perspective. I guess you'd have to experience it for yourself to understand. He stared at me, unblinking for a moment. Yeah, you might be right. Never considered that, actually. Then again, who would bother loving a monster like me, huh? Well, you're not a monster? I look what? I look like one, don't I? That's besides the point. You're not denying it, though. I'm just saying, it's okay. You don't have to lie to me. So, family? Right. To be fair, everyone's definition of family could be different. What about you? What's your definition of family? Michael looked surprised. I asked him that question. I don't know. I've never had one, and I think your answer just confused me more. Well, if you ever figure it out, let me know. Michael stared at the remaining crumbs on his plate before he nodded, avoiding my gaze. Sure. We both fell silent, the lull in conversation blinking us in a comfortable silence. All this family talk, it reminded me of the reason why I was out here in the first place. To look for my beloved cat, a sight I might never be able to see again. I couldn't help the sinking feeling in my chest, the growing pit in my stomach. Wish I was able to find Charlie. You would have loved her. Michael opened his mouth to say something but changed his mind. My voice swapped. My voice warped as a lump formed in my throat. Sorry. I just miss her so much. I keep thinking if I just went looking for her sooner, maybe I would have been able to find her by now. He was quick to speak up. You did your best, Firefly. Not, no one else could have gone to the lengths that you did. You almost risked getting yourself. I'm sure wherever she is, she's doing okay. You really think so? I know so. His voice was laced with a confident assurance despite the worried look on his face. I nodded with a quiet sniff. I hope so. Important to me is all. Michael looked like he wanted to reach across the table for me, but sighed instead. Actually, I'm sorry, Lily. I should tell you. Um, Maybe I do have family now that I think about it. That was the surprise I mentioned before. Wait, really? He nodded. Are you done? I could take you to meet them right now. I looked down at my plate. During the conversation, I didn't even realize I'd finished the meal. Yeah, I'm done. The movements were quick, stacking our empty plates and mugs and setting them in the sink. He grasped my hand before I could say another word, pulling me up and heading outside with me in tow. As the door swung open, I could see Flora's cabin ahead. Before he nudged me along, as let me restart that. As the door swung open, I could only see Forrest ahead. Before he tugged me along as he rounded the side of the cabin. Almost immediately, my peripherals were salted with greens on both sides. I figured he was the type to grow his own vegetables, but to see it in person was confirmation a whole different thing. With Michael leading the way, I only had a moment for taking my sprint in the surrounding garden. He had marked the different plots with messy drawings on small wooden signs jutting out of the dirt. Carrots, lettuce, tomatoes, trellis of tomatoes and beans. I wouldn't have been able to differentiate one plant to another without the signs. Even the Caroline from our tea just now grew abundant close by, the small buds swaying gently. I bumped into Mychael as he suddenly stopped, the man looking over his shoulder to beam at me. We reached what looked like a fenced-off area with a bit of netting stretched all around. He stepped aside, watching me as my eyes widened. Chickens. 3 fat, happy little hens strutting about like they owned the place. As he entered through the gate, the hens swarmed over an instant at Michael's feet, circling him and pecking at his boots. Ladies, meet Louie. Meet Louie. These are Marwar, Susuri, and Primrose. But as I like to call them, Mar, Sunny, and Rosie. He ducked to pick one up, fluffing up her feathers as he smiled. He gently scratched the hen's little head, which I assumed was Rosie. She practically melted at his pampering, eyes sliding closed. The other two flapped their wings in a huff and went about their business once more. Michael leaned close, beckoning me to pet Rosie. She was so soft. Rosie's the oldest. She doesn't lay eggs anymore, but I couldn't bring myself to, you know. So I brought her some friends. Marmar came first. Sunny's a more recent addition. What do you think? Do we make a good family? I laughed and nodded, watching as Rosie nuzzled into Michael's chest. I didn't expect chickens of all things. Were you expecting something else? I was expecting it to be someone else. Oh. No. When you look like me, people generally don't stick around. That's the negative self-talk again. You don't even look that bad. His eyes flicked to mine, a look of pleasant surprise crossing his face. You really think so? Yeah? You can't be that naive, Firefly. I mean it. He let out a polite scoff as he scratched Rosie's head absently. You genuinely believe people wouldn't run away at the sight of me? Well, I didn't. His smile turned smug, the corners of his lips lifting just a little. Of course you didn't, because you couldn't. Shoot, he wasn't wrong. I was pretty much paralyzed in this bed when we first met. But I still don't think you look that bad. Is that so? Describe me then. What? You heard me. Look at me and describe what you see. For a second, I thought he was being condescending, but looking at his eyes, all I could see was a bit of playfulness. He looked at me expectantly, eyes shining. You're tall. Go on. You have blonde hair. He gave me a new squint, his left ear twitching. What else? You have green skin in it too? He chuckled, though there was no malice in it. But that's not all, is it? He definitely expected me to say it straight. Okay, fine. So you don't look human. So what? He hummed absently. As I was saying, animals generally don't care if you look like a monster. My heart twisted at his words. His passive nonchalantness somehow made it even worse. Michael, you're not a tug on my shoelace caught my attention. A light brown hen stood at my feet, her beady eyes shining. Sunny flapped her wings almost expectantly. Aw, I think she likes you. Go ahead, pick her up, gently, like I did with Rosie. I hesitated, but slowly lowered myself to cup Sunny by her wings. Lifting her up, she was quick to nuzzle herself until she was comfortably tucked under my arms. I could feel her wings wiggling as she nuzzled into my side. So cute. Michael's gaze softened as I cooed at the chicken, mimicking her small clucks. So, did it help? Cheering you up, I mean. Oh, so that's what this was. A fuzzy feeling bloomed in my chest as he looked at me, chicken in his arms and concern on his face. A little bit, yeah. Only a little bit? I snickered, rolling my eyes. Okay, mister, a lot. That's more like it. His proud grin was infectious. I couldn't help smiling back. We spent a bit more with the hens, petting them until they were satisfied. Michael even showed me the spot where they liked to have their dust baths, little chicken-shaped holes scattering about in the dry soil beneath the coop. Once the gals had enough of us, we filled their water container before leaving. He left them some treats, procuring them straight out of his pockets before shutting the gate. The girls' excited chatter over the food faded as we made our way back inside his cabin. I sat by his bed as he crouched down by the fireplace. From the window, I could see the sun outside. It was getting higher. It might be close to afternoon now. Hey, Michael? He looked up at me from where he was stoking the fire. I rubbed my arms, unsure where to place my gaze. I think it's a good time for me to go now. I didn't. My expression fell, but I caught myself quickly. He'd done his best to cheer me up. It being considerate towards him to leave in a bad mood. I might have to accept that I'll never see Charlie again. I think it's better if I focus on myself moving on. He was quiet for a moment, hands in his pockets. If you say so. But you don't have to leave just yet. We still got plenty of daylight left, and there's some places I want to show you. Won't you come with me? I had to decide. I promise I'll take you home right after. Hey look, he took another step towards me. Please, Firefly? I didn't want to say it, but he looked desperate. Okay, I'll go with you. The joy in his face was shining bright as a billboard. Great. Let me get our stuff. He disappeared into the kitchen, returning with my backpack in one hand and a satchel in the other. He passed it to me as he walked by towards the front door. Huh. I almost forgot I had this. Rifling through my bag, I found cat treats, Charlie's collar, a broken compass, and my phone. The battery was dead, though. Still, that's one less thing to worry about. I checked through my bag once more, finding an empty water bottle. I frowned, distinctly remembering I forgot to pack water for my trip. Or, at least Michael told me I did. Didn't I? You ready? I looked up as Michael, startling when I spotted the large crossbow in his hands. He followed my gaze and shrugged. albeit with a nervous smile, like he'd been caught doing something he shouldn't be. He quickly strapped the weapon to his bag and out of sight. Don't worry, I'm not going to use it unless necessary. I would hope not. He chuckled at my indignant tone. You think I'm gonna let you into the woods without guaranteeing your safety? I made a promise to get you home. This is an extra precaution. You don't think it's a bit much? Better safe than sorry, Firefly. He did have a point. If anyone knew these woods and the kind of danger it held, it'd be Mychael. I glanced over him again, noticing he changed his oversized cardigan for something more outdoor appropriate. His eyes tracked mine, his shoulders stiffening as a tint spread across his face. So, shall we? He opened the door and waved me out. I stepped outside to glance around his front yard. The landscape wasn't anything special. It was actually left quite plain, just thick with trees and foliage. The only path of dirt and flattened grass clued me in the routes Mychael would use as he comes and goes, webbing in all directions, traveling to the front door. Come to think of it, anyone passing through these woods would be able to spot Mychael's house if they squinted through the trees carefully enough. I guess he was right that nobody walked through this area in years. I heard a lock turn before Mychael joined me by my side. He smiled wide before tipping his head in a direction and making sure I was behind him before he started walking. I was hesitant, but followed suit. It was quiet as we traveled, save for the sounds of nature calling out around us. The weather was bright and warm, the sun casting pretty rays through the gaps in the trees. I had to admit, enjoyable as it was, the bird calls and rustling of leaves as we walked somewhat brought bad memories. Yesterday was miserable. I was lost, tired, and hungry. There was a chance I wasn't going to make it out alive. I watched Mychael's back as he led the way, the man barely paying any attention or any mind to his surroundings. His ears would occasionally flick back in my direction, but overall, he seemed confident in where to go. Having Mychael as my guide home was definitely a great assurance. It made me even more grateful he'd found me when he did. I sighed and shook off the negative feelings, keeping pace while appreciating the fresh air. I stepped back next to my companion, lowering my voice to speak after plenty of silence. This is actually kinda nice. A good old nature walk. I cocked my fist, feeling embarrassed. I don't go outside as often as I should. Mychael smiled kindly. I'm glad I get to bring you here then. Yeah, feels different when you know where you're going. Actually, where are we going? He sensed my nervousness and laughed. Don't worry, we're almost there. I looked up and saw it before he even pointed it out. A clearing in the distance, the trees growing strangely sparse in that area. I held my breath as I noticed the grass slowly starting to dot with flowers, delicate blooms swaying here and there in the breeze. As we get closer, Mychael watched me as my mouth dropped open, a knowing twinkle in his eyes. It was breathtaking. A secluded little meadow of flowers, lit up by beams of light, making the scenery resemble a page from a forgotten fairy tale. The butterfly flittered. Butterflies flittered about in pairs, their wings fluttering and complementing the surreal yet enchanting ambience of the whole place. Mychael let me gawk some more before walking ahead, turning to face me before sitting down to relax on the grass. He slipped off his satchel and laid on the grass by his side along with his crossbow. I blinked out of my stupor and approached him, spinning around to drink everything in before plopping myself down next to him. So, what do you think? Pretty, isn't it? I nodded dumbly before finally glancing to face him. The man's gaze on me softened as our eyes met. The butterfly approached us rapidly, making me flinch on instinct. It landed on his finger as he held it out, its wings flapping gently. He smiled at the dainty creature, a fond look on his eyes before he held it out towards me. Do you like butterflies, Louis? I'm scared of them, actually. Mychael's eyes widened, a look of guilt flashing across his face. He slowly lowered his head, the butterfly, aka Menace, still perched on his fingertip. Oh no, this place has to be your worst nightmare. I'm sorry, we could leave right now if you want to. I inhaled a breath before shaking my head. I still want to be here. It's okay, Mychael. I eyed the insect crawling on his finger, wings gently flapping. I leaned over to Mychael slowly. Promise you'll keep him off of me, though? Mychael looked at me with a playful grin. Won't let a single wingtip even brush you, Firefly. He sounded so determined, I had to snort with laughter, forgetting my fears in an instant. The sun was at its peak now, the air getting warmer as minutes passed. The leafy canopy over us providing enough cover for us to not overheat. Mychael picked a flower with his other hand, and placed it in my palm, his tail looping loosely around us, both as my cheeks darkened. He closed his eyes and leaned back further, the butterfly still resting on his hand. My ears caught a soft rumbling before I realized it was coming from his direction. Oh my gosh, he's purring. That's adorable, actually. I almost wanted to ask, but didn't want to ruin the moment. My gaze drooped as I twirled the flower in my hand, holding the stem delicately. The gesture felt platonic, but also romantic. I wonder if Mychael was even interested in relationships. He'd been alone most of his life. He'd probably get tired of my presence sooner or later. Before I could contemplate further, the butterfly Mychael's finger took off, my gaze trailing after it as it left the sunlight and flew away into the woods. Which reminds me, Mychael. Don't get me wrong. This place is stunning. But is it okay if we go now? Mychael straightened from his relaxed slouch. Oh, he stopped hurrying. Aw. Why? Why? We just got here. I chewed on my lip, hesitating. I love it here, I do. But I want to go home, Mychael. Mychael studied my face. Louis, do you want to leave me that badly? What? No! I just need time to recover from losing Charlie. I know it's silly and dramatic, but knowing she won't be there when I get home. I trailed off, another shot of guilt. and regret filling my chest. I just need to get it done with. I felt a hand rubbing my back. Mychael nodded slowly, looking me in the eyes. His smile was gentle. That's okay. I understand. But I have to just go on. But maybe this place could help with that. It's a nice spot to nap in, isn't it? I picked it out just for you. Why don't you let him lie down? His words made you sway. A sudden bout of sleepiness weighing heavy over your eyelids. He was right. It is when I spot something. Why were you in such a hurry? You yawned, laying back to stretch in the grass. The warmth of the ground seeping through your clothes, lulling you into a sense of comfort and safety. There you go. Just to spend some time with me. Just a bit more, please. Oh, here's something else I could show you. He reached into his satchel and pulled out a wooden box. It's called a kalimba. I blinked slowly, clarity coming back as I shook my head to pay attention. The box fitted neatly in his hands, Mychael holding it as if he were typing on a phone. You could see it had a hole in the middle with thin strips of metal arranged in a triangular shape over it. What does it do? A proud smirk spread across his face. I'll show you. He began to pluck the metallic prongs. A gentle sound resonating with every flick of his thumbs. I could recognize the song. He might have made it up himself. I closed my eyes, enjoying the tune. Mychael gave a soft chuckle as he kept playing. Relax and listen as long as you'd like, Firefly. Now, we're about almost halfway through the video, so I'm going to leave this for a few minutes, just so we can also just a little brain break, get a snack, do whatever you need. sunbathing like cats on a Sunday afternoon. I must have dozed, as the next thing I knew, I felt a nudge on my shoulder. Comfy? Mmm. He chuckled low when I refused to open my eyes. I mean, if you'd rather stay. My eyes shot open, my whole body jerking to sit up. Michael glanced at me, kalimba in his lap, and half a forget-me-not chain in his hand. What? I shook my head, slapping at my cheeks. I can't believe I fell asleep. I just need to. It's alright. He cut me off. His sigh was heavy. I was hoping. Never mind. He patted my shoulder, though his smile didn't reach his eyes. Thanks for being here with me. Maybe we could do this again sometime. If I ever see you again. Let's get you home. He rolled to his feet and stood up, brushing off dirt and fixing his satchel. Come on. We gathered our things and saw off into the unknown once more. Well, unknown to me at least. Michael seemed to have a map of this place ingrained in his brain. You seem a bit sleepy still, so let's freshen up, okay? We walked a bit further away from the clearing, coming across the river. Compared to the rest of the path we walked, the area was shaded considerably with a thick canopy of leaves over us. The flowing water looked inviting as I kneeled down by the bank, Mychael idling close by. My hands dipped in, eager to wash my face. The water was refreshing and cold my heated skin in the afternoon sun. I pulled my hands back to see Mychael peeking over my shoulder into my reflection, smiling with a faraway look on his face. He startled as our gazes met, Iris darting away to look at himself instead. Immediately, his expression changed. His ears flattened, a grimace twisting his features as his lips curled back. I had never seen such contempt in his eyes as I did then, staring at his own visage. He stepped away, retreating underneath the cover of a tree to lean against it with crossed arms. He doesn't notice me watching. I patted my hands dry on my shirt and approached him. You ready? Yeah. I stopped him before he could turn to leave. He looked at me with a questioning look, tipping his head. I hesitated. I wasn't the type to speak my mind directly. Most of the time I'd keep things to myself and let things go by. But nobody should look at themselves and have that sort of reaction. Hey, you know you're not, I might as well be frank. You're not a monster, Mychael. He looked taken aback. What makes you say that? I saw you were looking at yourself. How'd you talk about yourself? None of it's true. I keep telling you, you're more than just your appearance. I don't know what compelled me to do it, but I did it anyways. I reached for his hands and held them between us. His eyes widened at the contact. All it took was a day with you, and truthfully, I think you're the most amazing person I've ever met. He made a choke noise. I'm just some old nobody compared to you. That's not. Shut up and listen. He promptly shut his mouth with an audible click of his teeth. From where I stand, you saved my life. You've taken care of me better than I could ever ask from a stranger. That already proves to me you're not the monster you think you are. You're charming, you're smart, you're sweet. You're a million more wonderful things, but you're not a monster. I take a second to compose myself, lowering my voice. You may look different, Mychael, but guess what? His multiple eyes stared into mine, ears flattening as if fearing the worst. That makes you all the more beautiful to me. His breath hitched. I could feel his hands squeezing mine, fingers trembling. It was like he had forgotten how to breathe. I realized my hands were getting sweaty. I pulled away hastily, scratching at my neck and avoiding his gaze. I could feel the blood rush to my face. I could dunk my whole head in the river and probably let off steam. Sorry that came out of nowhere. It just didn't feel right if I didn't say anything. I hope you understand. An awkward silence passed between the two of us. Anyways, I caught him mumbling under his breath. I can't let you leave. What? I said you can't leave. I mean, not without your cat, right? I frowned. I've already tried, Mychael. Like you said, it was stupid for me to try and wander off into the woods as if I'd find her through dumb luck. He paused, his fists clenching. But I haven't. Huh? I haven't tried. I know these woods better than anyone. I could try looking for her. But that means you can't leave yet. Mychael, I appreciate the offer, but I don't think I should stick around any longer. I have a job and responsibilities, and you hissed in pain, a sudden migraine overcoming your senses. You felt sick, your stomach ringed itself in knots. It felt like the world was warping around you as your legs wobbled. Your body buckled over as you resist the urge to vomit. Mychael caught you as you slumped gracelessly to the ground, your head resting on his shoulder as he cradled you close. Hey, you don't look so good. Your vision doubled as he spoke, his speech oozing together, words into an indecipherable mess. Are you okay? Do you need me to carry you home? Yes, please. Okay, no problem. Just hang in there. Hang on to me. I'm so sorry. You don't deserve this. Just one more day with you. I'd be the happiest man alive. Here we are. Let's get you tucked in. I should give you some clothes. Especially since you'll be staying another night. You're okay with that, aren't you? I blinked groggily, awake to the gentle sounds of a crackling fire, the edgy texture of worn bedsheets, and the weight of a heavy knitted blanket. I could recall once or twice having felt these strange sensations to the point I'd consider them familiar and comforting. And yet, nothing could prepare me for the bright yellow eyes peering into mine. Ugh. My knuckles hit him square in the face as Mychael yelled, no scrunching as the taller man stumbled back into a stool. He landed on his rear with the grace of a clumsy toddler on the floor. I sat up in a panic, immediately grimaced, landing back on the bed with an uncircumcised flop. It hit me in one fell swoop, how my whole body was aching. Every single one of my limbs felt like they'd gone through a ringer and came out the other side all crinkled and wrong. I groaned aloud, leaning my head back on the pillow. Michael shifted back onto his feet, rubbing his nose. Louis. His voice was an awkward croak before he cleared his throat. I'm glad you're awake. How are you feeling? Terrible. He visibly flinched. I'm sorry to hear that. He stepped closer to the bed, leaning over warily in case my hand dramatically whips out again in self-defense. With my hand settled on my lap, he deemed it safe enough to sit beside me. What happened, Michael? You don't remember? I shook my head, wincing as my head pounded. Not at all. Michael hesitated. You, tripped and hit your head. I had to carry you home. Oh, I went too fast again. His words almost slowed together as he fidgeted. My head? I slowly lifted my hand to feel for bumps or bruises, but he hastily snatched my wrist. Don't worry about that. Here, have this. It'll help. Michael gave me a familiar-looking drink as he quickly pressed a cup into my hands. Sitting up with some effort to take a sip. I couldn't help. Seriously, I couldn't help the small sense of deja vu. The amount of times I woke up in this bed, dazed and disoriented, is almost uncomfortable now. At least the drink was helping, like he promised. My body felt lighter as I finished. Michael took the cup from me and set it aside before wringing his hands together with nervousness I haven't seen in a while. So, I'm sorry this happened. I didn't mean for you to get hurt. I sighed and waved aside his worry with an embarrassed grumble. Wouldn't be the first time I tripped, if you could believe it. It's not your fault. He gave a soft chuckle, but it sounded guilty. I suppose you're right. It's just... His face looked like he had a million thoughts running through his head. I promised, didn't I? I said I was gonna look out for you. I said I was gonna keep you safe. Instead, I made you hurt. His voice cracked. I'm so sorry, Louis. The sudden change in demeanor was startling, to say the least. You couldn't have predicted it was gonna happen. And I'm fine, see? Oh, Firefly. I guess you're right. His expression carried a lingering doubt, but he quickly masked it with a small smile, his eyes dim. In that case, you'll be staying? The way he said it almost sounded like a decision that already been made. Or a plea. What do you mean? His eyes darted aside. You agreed to let me help you find Charlie, remember? Did I say that? Yeah. So, you'll be staying a while longer, right? He didn't even let me get a word in. In fact, a feeling of uncertainty washed over me, as if we've had this conversation before. I don't think I should. Besides, what's the rush? It's already late, and you're in no condition to travel anyway. I blinked before glancing out the window. Pitch black darkness greeted me as I realized he was right. Yet another uncanny feeling spread through my chest, shivers crawling down my spine. I don't know why, but something about this whole situation felt wrong. But I feel like I'm forgetting something else. Mychael had a nervous look on his face. Maybe you hit your head harder than you thought? His words didn't sound confident. How long was I out? A couple hours, I think? You, really took a hit. Was it that bad? My brows creased as I tried to recall today's events. But I don't remember tripping. There was a river. I remember you. And then, memory must be fuzzy. And for good reason. After all, it's been, my stomach rumbled suddenly, echoing in the quiet room. There was a heavy silence right after. Mychael was polite enough to hide his chuckle under a palm as I flushed. He seemed relieved. Well, lucky for you, I've got dinner on the way. It should be ready soon. It's okay. You're okay with soup, right? Soup. Soup sounds alright. My stomach growled once more, and the pain of an empty gut making me wince a bit. My host noticed immediately. Oh, maybe you should get some food sooner than later. Do you feel okay enough to get up? I nodded with a grumble, swinging my legs over the side of the bed before noticing something was on my lap. Wait, what's this? I bundled the pile of thick fabric, realizing it was an oversized sweater with a pair of baggy sweatpants. A mushroom pattern? That's oddly cute. The material felt worn, but comfortable. A towel laid right next to them. Is this for me? Oh. I figure since you'll be staying another night, you would want some fresh clothes. They might be a few sizes bigger. Or a lot? Sorry. He'd gotten shy for some reason. On the other hand, I didn't have to take a whiff at myself to know that I probably reeked. I nodded again, giving him a small but grateful smile. They're fine, Mychael. Thank you. Yet another thing I had to owe him. I couldn't help feeling like I'm taking advantage of his kindness now. So, you know where the bathroom is. Take your time cleaning up. I'll be in. I read it to you. Went past. I'll be in the kitchen if you need anything. I'm really happy you're here. He stood there for a good few seconds, fidgeting with his hands, as if he wanted to say more before finally heading to the kitchen. I watched his back retreat before hoisting myself up and heading to the bathroom. Now that I was alone, I had a moment to gather my thoughts. The nagging feeling was back, a prickling feeling across my skin, raising goosebumps as if to tell me I shouldn't be there. I just couldn't place my finger on what. I was probably just being paranoid. Then again, it's been a while since I showered, so I could chalk it up to dirt accumulation on me and make me itch at places I didn't want to think about. After undressing, I folded my clothes so I could place them in my backpack later before turning on the shower. The water was ice cold. My teeth chattered as I cleaned myself as fast as I could, using some senseless soap by the side of the tub. Dressing myself again, I wrung out my hair as best as I could before drying it with a towel. Putting on the clothes Michael provided, I felt like I had shrunk in size. I adjusted the sleeves and waistband to my liking, with some struggle, just so my hands and feet would poke out of the holes comfortably. I couldn't help noticing his clothes smelled like freshly cut grass, with with a smoky hint of woodsy bonfire. The scent reminded me of camping in the summer. Persistent doubt aside, I definitely felt way better compared to when I woke up. Stepping out, I could smell something good coming from the kitchen. A gentle humming greeted me as I came through the doorway. Mychael was idly stirring a pot by the stove, looking up at me as I entered the kitchen. Whatever he had in that pot made my stomach grumble yet again. His ears flicked as he registered the clothes I was wearing. Huh. How do they fit? I shrugged. They're definitely bigger on me. He nodded, turning back to the pot. I can see that. I wasn't sure what you normally wear, so I went whatever I had that was. He struggled to pick a word. Coziest? I gave a hum of agreement, filling with the hem of his sweater. Was I really about to do this? I guess I was. With the confidence of a courting peacock, with with the confidence of a courting peacock with nothing to lose, I leaned against the doorway, making sure to prop my hip just the right angle against the edge. I think I look good in your clothes. Maybe I should wear them more often? With how baggy the clothes are on me, I probably looked like a sentient sack of potatoes than a human being. Mychael must have sensed something was different with my tone, as he gave me a confused chuckle with his tail nose to be swishing side to side. I guess you could. Though I'm pretty sure most of them won't fit right. Undeterred, continued on. I couldn't help but find some. I could help find something more comfortable. I sent the smoothest wink I could muster. Wink. Nailed it. He seemed to consider my offer. This is the worst idea ever, bro. I thought I found the right fit. I thought I found the right fit, but you can look through the closet for something you like that now that you're awake. Do you have something in your eye? Given the fact this guy was the one who winked earlier at dinner, I'm not sure how he is confused by a wink. I straightened suddenly. I'm just trying something up, I guess. Trying what? Never mind. Uh, how am I? Okay, you guys expect me to commentary on this stuff, and I'm meant to read that? Here goes nothing. Um, uh, what's cooking good looking? Against all odds, his cheeks began to color, the pot. His hand stirring the pot, faltering for a brief second. What? Wait, this might actually work. I blessed my I blessed my efforts, leaning forward with another smile. You heard me. You said. He hesitated to repeat it. Well, maybe you should get your eyes checked. Yeah, this was a terrible idea. I cleared my throat awkwardly. Thank you for the clothes. He must have sensed something wrong again, as he quickly tried to salvage whatever the hell was going on. For what it's worth, you look very Whatever it was, it sounded like he, like several clicks of the tongue, but with vowels. Somehow. What? He huffed, tail waving side to side like a metronome. It means he trailed off. I guess in your language it would mean, um, cute? Cute? My smile faltered as he fitted in. Oh, he's so cute. We stared at each other. I might actually have a chance? The color of his face was closer to a blueberry the longer I looked at him. There was an awful awkward tension before I broke out with a nervous laugh. Cute? In fact, I swear I could hear him whimper in panic. The situation was so absurd I had to laugh harder. Was that so hard to say? He sputtered. I didn't think you'd be comfortable with me saying it. Why not? Well, you know. What do I know? My grin was teasing, and he picked up on that quickly, his nervousness dissipating as he gave a sharp huff. His hand stirred the pot faster. So I called you cute. It's not a big deal. Then why is your face so blue, I guess? Like it is. He made another choking sound, eyes darting about. It's just in here from the stove. I'm cooking my best here. I snickered at his terrible excuse. You're a bad liar. But it's true. Stovetops don't do that. Mine does. A, a glaring a glaring contest ensued before we ended up bursting into a fit of giggles, my face warming from the silly banter. The kettle started whistling then, cutting our moment short. Phew! He seemed disappointed by the shift of atmosphere, but quickly tried to move to pick it up. Why don't you take a seat, Firefly? I'll be right with you. He was already turning his back towards me to start preparing the meal, the tea. I slowly approached him. Hey, let me help you this time. Mychael startled, surprised to see me beside him. Sure. Could you get the bowls ready? We're having tomato soup. Would you like some grilled cheese on yours? Or would you prefer garlic bread? Okay, now guys, this is an important question. Just soup, garlic bread, or grilled cheese. Now hear me out. My opinion, I don't like soup, any kind of soup, just by itself. I like dipping stuff in it. I like putting stuff in it. Garlic bread, don't, I won't lie, it's fire. But grilled cheese is peak. I tell you, grilled cheese is peak. Got it. I brushed past him, feeling his tail linger by my ankle as I grabbed bowls and spoons from the bottom shelf. He started preparing the sides, the smell of toasted bread filling the kitchen and mingling with the soups. I looked over preparing the tea. Finally, I I ladled the soup from the pot into a larger bowl just as Mychael finished slipping the last piece. We settled in for a nice hot dinner. Regardless of how I feel about the tomato soup, Mychael's turned out rich and creamy with an amazing balance of sour and sweet. Dipping in the bite-sized grilled cheese sandwiches made it taste like pure savory comfort, crispy and gooey. Even if I never had it as a kid, it still made me feel nostalgic somehow. There's still a feeling of still awkwardness, but the food helped ease us both into a warmer, light-hearted conversation. I didn't realize how hungry I was until I refilled my bowl. Mychael watching with Mychael watching me with his chin propped in his hand. His bowl sat empty. Apparently he'd already had his fill. Is tomato soup your favorite? His question was innocent, though his eyes were observing me carefully as I shrugged. I think I'd love anything you cook. He stilled, taking a second to process what I said. Oh, well, thank you. No, thank you. Usually I get takeout or microwave dinners. Nothing beats home-cooked food. What's a microwave? I snickered and tried to explain it the best I can. A metal box that heats up food. That sounds like, what's the word in those fantasy books? Magic? Am I using that word right? I laughed lightly. Sometimes science is just like that. We talked about other kitchen appliances off the top of my head, slowly branching out to other human inventions. He seemed even more interested. I never understood how, technology worked. I put up my phone and let him fiddle with it, though with the battery dead, there's not much I could show. He was clearly disappointed. It's about as useful as a brick. For now. Otherwise, I'd have a whole internet of information, or a whole network of information in my hands. His eyes lit up. Like a library? And you could access it at all times as long as the battery is alive? As long as I have internet connection. Right. It turned out. I didn't know you could do that. I just see people staring at them all the time. It seems boring. He looked at my phone again, a look of wonder on his face. Having a whole library in your hands. Everyone must be really smart then. Well, not everyone uses it like a library, more like a messaging hub or a source of content consumption. His ears flicked as he stared at me with a blank smile. Consumption? You can eat it? Yeah, he had no clue what I'm talking about. How I explained to him the very concept of Web 2000. Whoa, I said 2000. Web 2.0. I cleared my throat, deciding that I simply won't. Maybe I could show you what I mean someday. His eyes brightened, seeming to like the idea a lot. You mean that? I could have some? Yeah. I think it's about time you start getting a little more modern around here. No offense. Imagine what you could do with a generator. His smile widened just a tad, though there's still a cluelessness. There's still a cluelessness to his face that was just a little endearing. Generator? I laughed and reached across to pat his hand, a gesture that made his smile wobble. Like I said, I'll show you someday. A loud thwack sounded across the floor, words followed by a rhythmic thudding. I leaned over and I could see the tip of his tail was wagging back and forth. The tip of his tail was wagging back and forth. The tip of it slamming against the floor almost dramatically. Mychael looked flustered as he laughed softly, pulling his hand back to rub his neck. Sorry. He looked like he had more to say, but inhaled heavily, gathering himself before tilting his chin towards my empty bowl. Are you done? I nodded as he stood and collected our dirty dishes, heading towards the sink to wash them. I followed close behind, carrying the mugs. We made quick work of the dishes, heading back to the living room to relax. Mychael headed to his basket of knitting materials, his movement routine. I wasn't sure what to do with myself. I looked over at Mychael as he pulled out the stool from the corner of the room towards the front of the fireplace. His ear flickered in my direction before he returned my glance. Do you knit? Which actually, for real guys, I'll give a little bit of personal information. I actually do knit in real life, and I'm very good at it. I've made several scarves, and I do crochet as well, which, very cool. His eyes lit up. It's relaxing, isn't it? Can I see what you're working on? He looked surprised, not expecting my interest. Sure, it's just something to work on in my downtime. Halfway through, I started to realize that maybe it's not really my color. He lifted it up for me to see, only for my foot to kick the basket, sending a ball of yarn rolling towards the bed. Sorry. I quickly followed after it, only to halt as I spotted something under the bed. It was glinting off the bright fireplace within the room. Approaching the bed and tilting my head lower, I could see it was a tin container the size of a shoebox. What's that? Mychael looked up. Under your bed. Is it something important? A hesitant look came across his face. Oh, just some emergency supplies. Nothing too special. I had an inkling it was something more, but I figured I'd let him keep his privacy without prying anymore. I see. Mychael watched me for a moment or two before clearing his throat. Hey, Firefly? I've been meaning to ask. Do you remember what you said? At the river? The river? Oh, where I tripped. I pursed my lips in thought. Not really. Everything feels fuzzy to me. He seemed disappointed. Oh, not even a little? I shook my head. Why? Did I say something stupid? Just some things made me happy. Oh God, I did say something stupid. Before I could ask about it, he was already gesturing towards the bed. Well, you should get some sleep, Firefly. Wanna wake up nice and early to find Charlie, right? The idea of looking for my cat once more made me wilt. You really think we'll find her? Mychael looked at the edge, pocketing his hands. It doesn't hurt to try, but it does hurt to hope. His face twitched. Well, his ears flattened as he thought of something to say, clearly struggling. He finally opened his mouth to respond, his words slow and careful. I'm here for you. Thank you, Mychael. He nodded, a strange mix of polite happiness and hidden anxiety playing across his face. He's probably not used to another person sticking around this long, let alone someone going through a loss he could care less about. Maybe I've been enough of a burden to him. Actually, can you just send me home? His brows raised, his posture straightening in surprise. Are you sure? What about Charlie? Don't you want to see if we can find her? I'm sure. A look of apprehension crossed his face. But it's so soon. Charlie will be out there. Mychael, please. I can't think about her right now. I just want to go home. He fidgeted with the sleeves of his cardigan. But he looked like he had so much more to say, but whatever turmoil going on in his head was quickly slipped behind a reassuring smile. Okay, get some sleep, Firefly. You've been through a lot. He went to collect his blankets, already arranging them into a nest like the night before. The words left my mouth before I could think twice. Do you want to use the bed tonight? He stopped in his tracks. Oh, no, I don't mind the floor. I mean, you'd be sharing the bed. Hearing it out loud just made me want to slap myself across the face. Michael blinked at me before laughing lightly. My bed's too small for two people, don't you think? I don't think it'd be comfortable for either of us. He eyed the bed frame before looking at me. I'll be alright. With that, he crouched up on the floor and started setting up his bed, his tail swaying languidly. I laid down and faced the wall. A sharp sting of embarrassment in my chest refusing to go away. Why did I ask that? That was so stupid. Maybe I needed a sense of comfort. Or maybe I just needed him. Whatever it was, at least he took it at face value. I wasn't sure what I'd even do if he said yes. I groaned internally and shut my eyes, willing myself to go to sleep. The last thing I heard was the gentle crackling of the fireplace, accompanied by Michael's knitting needles clicking away in the dark. Before I knew it, I could hear birds chirping outside the window. The first thing I noticed was the fire must have been out, considering I didn't hear the familiar pop and snap that came with the room's ambience. The second thing I realized was the hand gently shaking my shoulder awake. Wake up, sleepyhead. I stirred, yawning as I sat up in bed. Michael beamed, hand still on my shoulder. There you are. Had a good sleep? I mumbled incoherently. His smile widened to a grin as I blinked myself out of my woozy state. If I didn't know any better, he seemed to enjoy waking me up in the morning, just to see my disgruntled expressions. Breakfast is ready. Wash up and meet me in the kitchen, alright? Give me a sec. He took that as my assent, humming his response. Suddenly, his hand reached up to ruffle my hair, messing up my bed head further. Hey! He merely laughed at my indignant squawk before reminding me once more to get up, his steps already thudding towards the kitchen. Recovering after a moment, I stared at the wall and pondered my situation for a second as I made my way to the bathroom. This was the third day since I'd left my house. I'm missing work, missing my cat, and missing my sense of direction. I gotta get back to my life. Today. Quietly reminding myself of my goal, I padded to the bathroom, freshening up and joining him in the kitchen. Michael was already seated, cutting into some pancakes. His smile was bright as I entered the kitchen, his tail flicking closer to my seat as I sat. A familiar stack of mouth-watering pancakes was placed across him, waiting for me to dig in. Though I couldn't bring myself to muster up an appetite with so many thoughts filling up my head. He seemed to notice the look on my face, laughing nervously. You look serious. Something in your mind, Firefly? Picked up my fork, twiddling with it. I'm just worried about getting home. Michael's expressions faltered as he lifted a piece to his mouth. Oh, you're still thinking about that? He seemed annoyed, which was at first. Of course. I've been gone for 3 days. People probably think I've gone missing. His gaze lowered, almost grumbling. Is that so bad? What? Yeah, it's bad. Why do you sound like you don't even care? Michael frowned, looking up at me now. Why do you sound like you're desperate to leave? What? It's all you ever think about. Are you not happy here? Is it not enough? I sighed, running my fingers over my eyes. Michael, we've gone through this. I've said it once and I'll say it again. You've done so much for me already, but I can't keep pretending everything's okay here. I want to go home. I need to go home. He sucked in a deep breath, grunting something indecipherable under his breath. I only wanted to. He seemed to be battling himself before he finally sighed. I'm sorry. You're right. Of course you're right. His tone seemed genuine, even if the hurt in his eyes was clear as day. I'll send you back today. I narrowed my eyes. I mean it this time, I promise. He held his hand over his chest. I swear on my heart. Okay, I know it's foolish, but I'm gonna trust him. I mean, how could I not trust him? He was my last hope. Okay. I paused for a moment before adding quickly. Thank you. He nodded and went back to eating, watching me expectantly as he took a timid bite. It was a moment before he swallowed and spoke again. Can you promise me something? His voice was quiet, for a lack of a better word, vulnerable. What is it? And promise me. His mouth hung open for a second or two before he laughed. Promise me you weren't lying when you said you liked my cooking. I snorted. Are you kidding me? I do. I do. Do I look like the kind of person who'll lie? I'm offended, Michael. He laughed again, light and airy. But if I dared to look closer, I could tell it was fake. He definitely didn't want to make our last moments tense and awkward. The least I could do was meet him halfway. I swear this game's gonna make me cry, bro. Don't say bro. We're trying to be professional on this channel. Before long, we found ourselves walking down another path from Michael's. The route was different today, probably because he didn't have any detours in mind. We walked in silence for a while. The only thing accompanying, I didn't read that, I read that. The only thing accompanying us were the sounds of nature and our footsteps. I couldn't tell what Michael was thinking. I knew he wasn't the talkative type unless spoken to, but right now he seemed eerily quiet. His back was tense, looking nowhere but forward. My voice was itching to say something, anything. But it felt like both of us had thoughts to digest, despite it being easier to say it aloud. Still, the silence was getting unbearable. So, we both halted in our steps as the sound of rustling. Michael's ears perking in the direction. What was that? His hand was already raising to hold his crossbow, deftly cocking it with inexperience pulled of the string until a solid click was heard. Stay quiet. Stay close. I saw my heart picking up speed. He started stalking low towards the source of the noise, his boots barely making a sound compared to my clumsy footsteps. The rustling continued and sounded like a scuffle was occurring between the bushes. Closer, closer, until my ears picked up a familiar high-pitched sound. It sounded like a tiny infant screaming. As morbid as that was, Michael actually relaxed as he recognized it. His steps hasted silently towards the source, crossbow lowered, until he came across exactly what caused the disturbance. A rabbit. Its small, delicate foot snagged in the old rusted trap. its tiny body trembled as its breathing fast and shallow, no doubt scared out of its mind. Mychael regarded it apathetically before unloading his crossbow, disturbed by the caught rabbit, but at the same time relieved at the absence of a threat. Just a rabbit. Sweeping his crossbow behind his back and out of sight, he looked at it for another moment before looking up towards me. Let's keep going then. My mouth dropped open in shock. And leave that poor thing behind? He raised a brow, confused. Yes? But it's going to die. His face twisted into confusion. That's generally what happens to prey animals, yes. He was so nonchalant about it. I had to keep my emotions in check. But we can't do that. Look at it. The expression was understanding, as if a little annoyed. I am. Someone left a trap. A rabbit gets caught in it. That's how it works. How do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Set it free? Obviously. He was frowning now. I can't. If someone is nearby, they'll be suspicious how their catch got free. What's that matter? Animals escape traps all the time. The important thing is suffering. Louis, I know you're smart in this. If it doesn't die today, it'll die tomorrow. To a trap. To a fox. To a hunter. It probably won't even survive long with its injured foot if we set it free. You're prolonging the inevitable. Can't you put it out of its misery then? He hesitated. Do you really want me to do that? No. But even then, we don't even know if anyone's coming back for it. The thing looks so old. He sighed impatiently, looking stubborn in his decision. That's the point of a trap. Is to keep things right where they are until you come back. The way he said it just rubbed me the wrong way. He's being realistic, sadly. But, in a way, his logic made sense, but still, I could hardly believe how needlessly callous he was being. For someone so sweet with his hens, he was so indifferent about the poor rabbit shaking at our feet. I looked down at it once more, my heart breaking as it started to squeak. Mychael. Please. My heart was torn as the rabbit helplessly kicked its feet, its cries weakening. For a moment I imagined Charlie being caught in a trap, just like this one, left to starve and die when someone could have been there to help her. No. We can't leave it like this. Please, Mychael? His harsh gaze started to soften at my plea. Does it matter that much to you, Firefly? I nodded quickly without hesitation. Please. It'd be the last thing I'll ever ask for, and it'll be the last time I'll ever ask for anything. He paused for another moment before shaking his head with a defeated sigh. Somehow I doubt it's the last time. There was a smile in his voice, though. But alright. I'll do it for you. Stand back. I had to pry it open. My gratitude was clear on my face as he pulled out a deadly-looking hunting knife from his pocket, kneeling down next to the rabbit. The terrified creature started to writhe all over again at the sight of the looming threat. Mychael grunted as he held it down firmly with one hand. It started to fall still under his hold, relaxing completely with its foot hanging limp. Huh. He sure had a way with animals. I backed away to give him space, not wanting to distract him. He was working to free the rabbit. I looked around, taking my surroundings. The trees felt somewhat familiar. A flash of memory playing in my mind. Casting one last glance towards Michael's bag, I wandered a bit further away, making sure to stay within earshot. I took a few steps before I came across a familiar sight. Oh, it was the circle of mushrooms from the other day. I recall that Charlie was definitely here. I hesitated at the edge of it, a sourceless sense of fear suddenly coursing through me as I stared at it. Had it grown bigger? The longer I stood there, the more fear dissipated. My limbs started tingling pleasantly, urging me forward. Before I realized it, my foot was already lifting to approach it. Closer. Staring at it, fuzzy haze crept over my mind. My face was warm. I found myself smiling at the oddly comforting familiarity. I'm sorry, my pants. Like recalling a fond memory, like greeting an old friend. I knelt down to inspect the growth, reaching out to brush my hand more on the mushroom cake. When someone yanked my wrist back. What? Don't. Huh? Don't touch those. I looked up to see Mychael looming over me, gaze sharp and irises shaped like thin slivers. That's actually kind of scary. You have a terrible habit of wandering off, don't you? I gulped. How's the rabbit? Is it safe? His eyes narrowed as I flayed to change the subject. It's free like you asked. Don't touch those. Mychael squeezed my wrist before letting go. I rubbed my wrist. It didn't hurt, but his grip had intent. What? Why? What's wrong with them? Nothing. Just don't touch them. I just thought it looked pretty, that's all. Did you, though? I shook my head, feeling disoriented as my mind flickered between thoughts rapidly like a broken radio station. Mychael snapped his fingers for my attention. Look at me, Firefly. His voice was snippy and irritated. I blinked rapidly towards the ground myself, scratching my head as I tried to gather my thoughts. Talk to me. Say anything. Some people think they're magic. Yeah, that's definitely common belief with mushroom rings, isn't it? I hung on to that thought. Keep going. Like, related to fae folk, you know? It's why they call them fairy rings, or fairy circle. Mychael squinted before easing his demeanor just a little less tense compared to before. They do look like they could summon a portal at any moment and whisk you away. I looked over at Mychael, expecting him to look amused. Instead, he was glaring down at the ground, as if the mushrooms were the most vile thing he'd ever seen. No. It's more of an invasive species than anything. I followed his gaze towards the harmless circle of fungus. They are? Should we do something about it? He blinked as if coming out of a daze. What? No. Sorry, I thought that slipped out. He pinched his nose bridge, the normally soft voice, a tired grumble. Normally, I'd leave them alone to do their business, but having you here... Anyways, just don't touch it, okay? He was far too uptight about something as trivial as a circle of mushrooms. It feels like there's more to it than that. His sigh was exasperated. They just grow in my part of the forest, is all. They make me uncomfortable. It definitely felt like Mychael wanted to use a stronger word than uncomfortable, a barely contained growl between his teeth. Why? I thought you liked mushrooms. Mychael's ears flattened. Not these ones. They're not even real mushrooms. They're not? No. He seemed to hesitate before blurting. They just happen to mimic mushrooms. Oh. I've heard of something like that. I've never heard of something like that. Though there are some pretty wild foliage out here that could copy the look of nearby plants. Does it have a name? His brows scrunched in confusion. What? Them? Yeah. You know, as in the species? Oh. I'm not entirely sure. I can recognize them by sight so just stick with me when you're out in the woods, okay? I really don't want you anywhere near them. Alright, if you say so. Just don't get how they can be invasive is all. I consider it invasive. Oh, wait, I didn't read that. I consider invasive when they come on my property. Is he really getting this angry over cute mushrooms? I'm gonna be honest, you're acting really weird about it, Mychael. You know, he was getting more agitated the longer we stood there, hands clenching in tight fists. Louis, I don't know. I know I ask a lot from you, but please, just leave them alone, okay? What? Why? Is there something you're not... Look, can we just... I flinched, back away from him as his voice rang through the trees. A silence passed between us both. A silence passed between us before he took a deep breath. I'm sorry. Can we just step away from here? He held his hands, his fingers were trembling. I'm gonna take his hand, because, you know, desperate little bitches gotta do stuff like this. I closed my hand around his, noting the way his tail flicked so hard it thumped against his leg. His fingers were calloused against my own, twitching at the unfamiliar sensation. I stepped up behind him, looking at him expectantly. Oh, I didn't think you'd take it. Now it was my turn to get flustered. You offered. I know I did. I thought I scared you, so I figured we waited for the other to say something, our faces growing heated as seconds passed. He finally laughed, exclaiming something strange and garbled before squeezing my hand. Louis, you're really something special. I hope that you realize that. He gave my hand another tight squeeze, snapping me out of my daydream. Let's get you home, Firefly. Mychael took the lead, his footing sure and confident. He must have noticed my unsteady gait as he suddenly veered towards a clearer path I could easily follow. I didn't verbalize it, but I was definitely grateful for that. As much as the forest was growing on me, getting my feet caught in roots and twigs every few steps gets tiring after a while. Our steps fell into a rhythm next to each other. I peeked at Mychael every once in a while, trying to gauge his mood after what happened. After spending so much time with him, he was so difficult to read. How can someone both wear their heart on their sleeve, yet keep it stitched tight, never letting anyone come too close? He had secrets he wanted to keep close to his chest, but I wish he'd just open up to me a little. The silence that hung in the air was making my skin prickle. What's your favorite animal? I was so caught up in my thoughts I didn't even realize I blurred the first thing that came to mind. Mychael regarded me curiously, ears flicking. My favorite animal? He pursed his lips in thought before his ears perked. Jellyfish. I did a double take. It was the one thing for him to have an answer so readily, but the choice was something else. A jelly? Why jellyfish? I thought it'd be, I don't know, a bird or something. He shrugged. They're pretty to look at least from pictures I've seen. Plus, I kind of relate to them. He said that without zero hesitation. How exactly do you relate to jellyfish? His expression faltered as if deciding on the right way he could explain his answer. Let's just say I have something in common. Whoa. That's getting me really fucking nervous. It's getting me nervous. Very nervous. Not good. No, get me nervous. With a jellyfish. Yes. Well, one jellyfish. One jellyfish is different. In what way? That they're pretty to look at? A strangled noise slipped past his throat. We're just flirting with this guy so much. Oh my gosh. No. You wouldn't get it. Try me. No. I groaned like a dying whale in aspiration, shoulder slumping like I had a back problem. I don't understand because this guy is just so complicated. He's not gonna elaborate anymore, is he? He probably spotted the vein growing on my forehead as he snickered. Relax, Firefly. You're gonna faint in the spot if you think any harder. If you're allowed to get upset about mushrooms, I'm allowed to get upset about jellyfish. His mouth dropped for a second before his cheeky grin returned. Touch. Touch? Touch what? Touch. I stared at him, his happy grin shifting to a confused frown. Touch when it's like saying you're right. You mean touche? He smiled innocently. Yeah. I feel bad for this man. He looks so innocent at times, and then you write him getting mad over silly little mushrooms. What the hell was that? I have no idea. This man with the death of me. That's what I was thinking. It's adorable. I love it. He laughed at my screwed up grimace, waving a hand hastily. What about you? What's your favorite animal? Alright. I'm gonna say his chickens because we want to make this man feel it. He looked taken aback, clearly not expecting that answer. Really? Yeah. Who wouldn't fall in love with little darlings? He seemed pleased with that answer, his already white smile softening further. He looks so lovesick, bro. You're right. Who wouldn't fall in love with a little darling? We continued with idle chatter after that. I didn't even realize how much time has passed and slowly thinned, the sounds of nature muffling as the canopy started to grow scarce. Suddenly I heard the soft yet familiar rumble of a car in the distance. I almost didn't pick up on it, yet fully immersed in whatever Mychael was rambling on about. Something about the life cycle of topsy-turvy knee or whatever it was he called it. Oh, we had really walked that far already? I left Mychael's side and rushed forward. He made a sound of surprise but followed suit. Nearing the edge of the forest, just as another car drove past, I recognized my street instantly. Breaking into a light jog, I almost missed Mychael calling for my name as I ran down the road. There! My house was visible from where I stood by the street. I was breathing heavily by the time Mychael approached my side, the man barely making a sound as he took in sight. Oh, I missed this. I turned to think Mychael only startled when a bundled stranger took his place. Ah! Sorry. People about it. People about. I couldn't see anyone around, but I guess he was right to be safe. Guess this was his version of a disguise. If I tried to pass on the street, I don't think I would have bothered to look twice. I mean, I want to say thank you to your face, but I'll settle for this, I guess. His chuckle was muffled underneath the scarf. He pulled it down so he could speak properly. Did I scare you? I got distracted. Mychael's eyes squinted from where I could see them. I wonder how you don't get lost every 20 steps. Hey, he laughed at my offended tone. You ready to go back in there, got it? I'm not always going to be around to find you. Who says I need you around to find me? Almost instantly, his eyes darkened underneath his sunglasses. I'm serious. Don't go wandering in these woods again. Or I might have to start taking drastic measures just to make sure you stay put right where you are. I sputtered indignantly. I'll wander where I please. Sure. He looked over my shoulder. I looked over my shoulder towards my house. So that's where you live, huh? Looks cozy. I wasn't sure if he was genuinely considering I wasn't sure if he was being genuine considering he lived in the considering he lived in the wooden back end of the middle of nowhere. Suddenly, I perked up with a thought. Do you want to come by? His eyes darted towards me, shock evident on his face. Me? To your home? I nodded. He froze completely. For a second, I thought he stopped breathing. I'd love to. Sudden barking and shout startled us both, my body jerking forward as his arm yanked me close. I heard a soft rustling as his sunglasses fell to the grass from the sudden motion, his hastily worn beanie shaking off his head. Looking up, it was just my neighbor calling out to their dog. Oh, looks like Vita's back from college. I paused, feeling his grip tighten. I looked down at his hand on my shoulder before glancing up at him. Mychael? He snapped back to the present, his hand releasing me quickly. Sorry. He looked towards my neighbor and their dog for another moment before turning back to me. I don't think it's a good idea for me to go with you. I don't want to be seen. I deflated just a little. But you have your disguise, don't you? He shook his head insistently. I can't risk it. It's better this way. He spoke with an finality that was starting to become familiar. If he wasn't willing, fine. At least I was. Before he could pick up his accessory, I gently grabbed his wrist. I can come visit you instead? What? I huffed impatiently. If you won't come to mine, then I'll go to yours. Once again, he was rendered speechless. What? Why would you ever want to see me again? At this point, I was starting to look and sound peeved. For all his good traits, the constant need to build his walls higher around me was starting to get annoying. I folded my arms, looking stern. His eyes widened as if in preparation, ears flattening like a cat in the middle of a scolding. Mychael, can you just accept the fact that that maybe I enjoy your company and wouldn't mind more. I'm sorry, nobody's ever. But you wanted to go home so badly. Oh, this bed is hopeless. Yes, of course I do. But that doesn't mean I'm gonna forget about you completely. Besides, I promised I'd show you what phones do, didn't I? Dismissing the fact that there's probably not much I can show when there's no data in the woods. I'm sure he'd been thrilled by whatever dinky mobile game I had installed at the time. The point was, I just wanted to see him again. So that means I get to see you again? I picked up on the eager tone in his voice, realizing he wished for for the same sentiment. Yeah, I want to. His voice warbled for a second. Firefly? He cleared his throat, laughing to himself. Louis, you can't imagine how much that means to me. A lot. It means a lot. More than you know. I nodded, a giddy smile creeping onto my face. How's next weekend? He tilted his head. That's 7 sundowns from now? 5. His smile widened, eyes squinting in absolute delight. Okay, I'll meet you here then. I smiled at him, figuring this was goodbye. I'm gonna hug him. I'm gonna hug him. I didn't think twice. I'm spread and wrapped around him before he could react. Mychael froze from head to toe, inhaling sharply as his shoulders tensed. For a good second, I thought I triggered a fight or flight or freeze response. It took a few seconds before he shifted to reciprocate, lightly placing his hands on the small of my back in a loose hold, fingertips splaying awkwardly along my spine. He seemed to gain confidence as he wrapped his arms around me properly, a shaky sigh leaving his body as he relaxed. A faint rhythmic rumble emanated from his chest, my eyes widening at the strange feeling. Was he purring? I knew I heard the sound before, but he was definitely purring. I didn't have time to dwell on it for long. His grip was getting tighter, tighter, tighter. I was about to spread out when another car passing made him jump and release me. I had to step away to catch my breath after the squeeze. His arms dropped to his sides with a blank stare in my direction. Uh-oh. Out of the corner of my eye, I could see his hands clutching tightly as if holding himself back. I looked up, expecting him to say something first. Instead, he just stared at me like I grew a third eye. I quickly cleared my throat, cheeks starting to burn. Anyways, I gave him one last light punch to the shoulder. It felt like punching a sack of grains. I'll see you next weekend. Ignoring the heat on my face, I looked both ways before jogging across the street. My neighbor in their yard looked up as I approached, their eyes lighting up in recognition. Louis? Their hands fidgeted. Oh, that dog is really cute. Fidgeted with the frisbee in their hands as they approached their ever loyal Loyaka. Loyaka? I think I'm pronouncing that right. Following close behind. I love that dog. That dog is so cute. Oh, and the little galaxy bandana all around their neck. That's even cuter. I was wondering where you've been. I dropped by to give you some cake over the weekend, but you were home and you didn't answer your phone, and your packages were piling up at the door, and I held my hands up in a placonic gesture. Vita, I'm fine. At our feet, Loyaka, I don't know. I'm gonna call her Loyaka because that sounds like it rolls right off the tongue. Loika was dutifully pawing at their elbow to calm them down. Their mouths stopped moving midway through their sentence, speaking rapidly. Ah, sorry. They reached down to pat Loika's head, significantly calmer, as they asked me again. Where were you? Where have you been? I was, visiting a friend. For a digital detox? Off the grid and all that. I blinked slowly, nodding. That sounds exciting. But the tone in their voice, they didn't mean that at all. What about Charlie? Did you manage to find her? My mood instantly dropped. No. That's why I went away in the first place, you could say. It took a few seconds for me to understand what I meant. Oh, I'm sorry. It's fine. They strained, a flash of empathy on their face before they smiled. Well, Loika and I are around for the semester break if you need anything. We should do a movie night. Maybe they'll lift your spirits. I found this really good one I think you'd like. I did some research and I feel like it's right up your alley. Loika and I could take a quick drive to the store just Loika and I could take a quick drive to the store, so just let us know when you're up for it. I can get your favorite snacks and stuff. Loika made a happy bark at the familiar word. A fond smile quirked on my face. Thank you, Vita. I'll bring the orange soda. Their expression lit up happily. Take care. I bid them both goodbye to walk up my driveway. Once I got to my door, I had the urge to turn around one last time. I was surprised to see Mychael still standing by the forest edge, shadowed by those trees. Our eyes made contact, his own fierce, piercing yellow eyes shining against the shade. I gave him a big wave. It took a moment, but he waved back. Smiling to myself, I unlocked the front door and let myself inside. It was surreal standing in my doorway again. I felt like Alice, who just woke up at the end of the book, feeling like I dreamed of a wonderland. I tossed my keys in my backpack by the hall carelessly before plugging my phone to the charger. I dreaded playing catch up with people who might have tried to reach me during my absence. Work, family, friends. I groaned aloud, popping on the living room couch. Well, at least I had this weekend to look forward to. Yay! We finally finished. Alright, and that is Mushroom Oasis for everyone. That is only day 3. There should be future updates coming soon. And thank you to the creators of the game for giving us this wonderful game. The illustrations and sound effects and everything. I loved it. It is one of the most beautiful games. My birthday just hit and I played this for one of the first times for my birthday, and I played another one that I might also do a review on by a different creator, but overall, I love this game. It has to be one of my favorite games I've played, or my favorite illustrated game that I've played in a few weeks. So I hope you all have an amazing evening, or night, or day, and make sure you eat, and make sure you actually get good sleep, and don't be awake at 3 in the morning, like May. Alright, bye-bye, little munchkins.